Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Very nice. It's always great to hear from when Set Roulette gets its hooks in somebody, I think it really hooks them. So we
Yeah,
just gotta tell our friends, tell our families, get as many people hooked as we can. Because once somebody's in, I feel like people are really in.
yeah, and I'm so happy to say that we've seen new people join us for this event as well. And I know it's summer and the heat is pulling people out of their homes and to their families. So even though we haven't had the same showing for this event as we did the previous event, I'm still very pleased seeing the community itself grow. And I'm sure that people will be back once the rain starts falling for our autumn event.
Yep, we have some plans for some things we're going to do in terms of marketing, and I hope that you guys will help us and support us in terms of posting about Set Roulette, sharing the decks that you're building and the great moments and screenshots, and retweeting the stuff that we have. We could really use as much help as anybody's able to give us in order to just get the word out because I think the more that people experience this format, the more it's going to grow and take off. And so we need your help as a community to do that. And we're very thankful for all the help and support that you guys have given us so far. So,
Yeah, anything you can do, any tweet, any just spread the word in your communities. Because yeah, we Stuart and I we love seeing all that energy and all that creativity on the live in the Discord when we after we roll the sets and people start firing left, right, and center, uh, coming up with all kind of wacky ideas that like there's so many decks we haven't even seen tonight because well you can only run one deck but you have three, four, five good ideas.
absolutely. I know I wish I was playing today because there's some really fun stuff going on out there, but happy to cast. And looks like we do have our finals match started here.
We do. And a reminder that we are using the modified play draw rules, so even though it says that Fates of Black won the die roll, it is Ben's decision. And Ben decided he would like to be on the play. I wonder why. uh, and
Looks like
there's
both
no,
players keeping on 7 here.
yeah, no interviewers curse here because these are the two players we've had in for deck tech, and they're both in the finals.
It's almost like we planned it.
Yeah,
If if you didn't tell me otherwise, I might think that um, we had
we
seen this
decided.
tournament before we started casting it.
Yeah, no. All right. Notably, Ben does not lead on a turn one mana dork. Uh, there's seven of them in the deck, but there wasn't one available here. Um,
Sylvan Advocate, a card we've seen be very strong in several of the matches so far today, threatening to be very large itself on turn 4, bigger than a Thought Not Seer, or turn 6, but also making those man lands into real threats. Mind
yeah,
Stone coming out for Fade to Black. That's another one that's been super important in some of these matchups. That just letting you cast Eldrazi and then later becoming a removal spell or another dragon or just a card.
yeah. We're looking at potentially a turn three Thought Seer, turn four Reality Smasher, and then Ben really needs to get the wheels running fast here. Uh, so I'm really curious what this is. Turn three Better Paradise, not as exciting. And if this is also a missed land drop, it is yeah. Ben cannot be happy about this. Keeping a two lander with Sylvan Advocate with a hope and a dream of hitting that third land didn't quite get there. Uh, so let's see what this is. This could be Kalitas, could be Thought Not Seer. It is Thought Not Seer, which is very nice. Of like because now we get to see Ben's hand, and we can stop guessing.
As viewers, we love a Thought Not Seer.
Yeah. Reflect
So a
Mage
couple of
enters the
Jamoka's commands, an Advocate and a Stratus Dancer. And Reflector Mage is the pull
is
here for Thought Not Seer. No, understandably so.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to look at the land drop. Ben hit his third land drop here, and we're gonna.
Fade
Oh
to
boy.
black, forced to sacrifice an enchantment here. It looks like we're building up to maybe start dueling with these Thought-Knot Seers.
Yeah. This is
Not the way you want to use your Dromoka's commands.
no, but I think it is the way that
Yep,
works out for
it
Ben.
works.
Yeah. There's the thing here that this Overlord is still going to be big. It's not like it's waste of a Dromoka's command. 4/5 is still a size that
And
is very
killing that
valuable.
Thought-Knot Seer helps to make up for having to double
Yeah,
command as well. Still, not necessarily the way that you drew it up when you put the Dromoka's commands in your deck.
but it works. Fade to black down to 13 at this point. And he has to start considering, all right, can I actually raise this? Do I need to build a board? And I think the answer is, yeah, you kind of need to build a board. You also need to roast this Sylvan Advocate before it gets worse. Uh, one double use of removal spell is met with another double removal spell.
You do what you have to do to get the job done.
Yeah, but is the second one a call against command? Because then,
Mm.
sure,
It certainly is set up that way.
it certainly is.
Uh,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, so the disasters sort of worded here, right? Right.
For Fade to Black, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Discarding a third Tromacast command.
Of course, we're just a Dragon Lord Ojutai away from Ben still being in great position.
Oh, I think we're first of all we're the fourth land away from Ben being in a great position because then he can play the Stratus Dancer and have it ready to morph.
But instead, we're seeing the second and third Sylvan Advocates hit the board and just wishing that they had a few more lands in play.
Yeah,
They will
they were.
do a good job of combining to block potentially, but nope. Incinerate takes care of that potential, and here comes the Thought-Knot Seer to get rid of that Stratus Dancer.
Yeah, that pesky Stratus Dancer. I think it's at this moment in time Ben would really love for a collected company to appear on the top of his deck.
Yeah, this is got to be where the red black deck wants to be. Again, in
Yeah,
this matchup, you have the upper hand, and you're drawing off the top of the deck. And in both of those situations, when the mana has already been developed, red black is in good position, right? Your creatures are bigger. You have a lot of answers and 2-for-1s, and there are 3 Dromoka's commands already in the graveyard.
yeah. Um, are we seeing an attack here? So I imagine Fate of Black has some follow up here. No. Okay.
Perhaps just willing to trade 2 damage for 4.
Yeah.
And with Ben Hellbent, I mean, I think you can play a little bit more aggressively.
You can play a bit more loose. Yeah, that's true.
Those Birds of Paradise do represent 2 fogs.
That
So
as well.
that the trade the race is still pretty close here.
Yeah. I think Fate of Black is drawing more lands than he would like to right now. But there are 2 more cards in his hand, and I cannot wait to learn what they are.
Ben's kind of back in this position where lands are good, spells are good. Um,
Little bit yes, little bit no.
he's almost there. The Sylvan Advocate has a potential to get big enough to block this Thought-Knot Seer in the next couple of turns. And another creature lets us potentially double block this Thought-Knot Seer. And we do see the
No
Eldrazi stay
attack this
home.
turn. That is interesting.
I think probably doing the math that two Birds of Paradise chump blocks
Yeah.
is rough. And wow, there's that Dragon Lord Ojutai. So
Dang.
now red black is the one on the back foot here.
Yeah. I want to see Fate to Black attack here. Ben cannot. So if Ben is taking this 4 damage, he's accepting to lose to Call Against Command and or Incinerate.
Well, I think Ben just blocks with a Birds of Paradise, right?
True. There was an untapped bird. I was thinking both birds were tapped, but I'm blind.
So Dromoka's command ends it.
Dromoka's Command ends it. Path to Exile ends it. But I also think just attacking with Dragonlord or Yotai.
Pretty close to ending it right there, yeah.
Yeah, there's also a potential Reflector Mage that ends it on the spot.
Yep. Been in the tank a little bit here about how to move forward with this team. Thinking about probably what are the ways he can lose this game.
Yeah, that has to be what Ben is thinking about right now, because sure, it would be easy to just attack with Dragonlord or Yotai and then look at some cards, take one of them, and then suddenly there's the thing he missed from Fate to Black's deck list, or alright, what do I do if these 2 cards he has are like Incinerate and Call Against Command? Can I still deal with that? What am I okay losing to? What is there any way where I can play around every single possible card? What do I do if Fate to Black draws Reality Smasher? Well,
Wow.
apparently
So
that
there's
works.
that fourth Dromoka's command that we were talking about.
Yep.
Fade to Black has to have an instant speed answer to this Dragon Lord to get another turn.
Yes.
Grasp of Darkness not enough anymore.
It is this turn.
Well,
If Ben decides to attack this turn,
but it's not great.
no, Ben is so smart. He's deciding not to go for the win this turn, because if he attacks with Dragonlord or Yotai, and Fate to Black has like a Call Against Command or something like that, and then into a Reality Smasher, then Ben would risk it.
So he's thought through, what are the ways I lose this game, and it might be a series of cards, but there's a way to play around it. Might as well.
Yeah, that is. I really love that turn from Ben. Because it's kind of unintuitive. Where like, I have a Dragonlord or Yotai, of course I'm going to attack with it. It's like it is. That's what the card is meant to do, but when you do these unintuitive plays that are, I'd like to say correct, as much as it's hard to say that there is a correct play in a game of Magic the Gathering, but you have to think outside the box and say, all right, I have my 6/5 flying beat stake, and you're at 6 life. I'm going to not attack. Okay.
Now we make the.
Now we do it. Dragonlord or Yotai.
Here comes the Grasp of Darkness to make this not quite lethal.
Put Fate to Black to 1.
But to your point, if there's a Kolagon's command in hand, that would have taken out the Dragon Lord, and now instead it puts Fade to Black to 1. Ben gets another card in hand, and Kalitas not enough life gain there to survive another turn.
Yeah, and Ben found the 6th land, so Sylvan Advocate is big now.
So a game that really looked out of hand for the Bant deck has kind of turned around to be pretty tough for the red-black deck to come out of. And for a minute there, it really looked like Ben was on 3 or 4 lands hellbent. It really looked like thought not Seer and friends were going to take it all the way, but instead, just a couple of draws with he found a Dragon Lord Ojutai and was able to do some really tight play in order to protect his creatures long enough to take it home. What are we
Yeah.
expecting to see in our sideboards here?
So this is going to be a bit weird for Face of Black. He has these two Tears of Valakut in his sideboard. Do they come in? Because like they can target the birds and Dragonlord Urtai, and that's it. But I think you and the Stratos Dancer, technically. Uh, but I guess you need it, maybe. Uh, Possibly.
Well, I mean that's why it's in your deck is for these troublesome dragons that are too hard to kill otherwise.
Yeah.
He did mention that. It's not exciting if you're Faded Black, but
Not really.
you're playing a long game.
Yeah, and then there's 3 Deadmark and 3 Damnation. I think you want those 8 cards. Uh, but what goes out? I am not sure what goes out. But those 8 cards are at least interesting to put in. I imagine maybe the discard spells are
Yeah,
not
that seems,
amazing.
because you're only trading uh, distress for, reflector mage or something. It's not quite as exciting as when you're taking out a key piece.
But we also have to consider how Ben is boarding, because Ben is bringing in those 4 flash frees, possibly even the 2 negates. So there's starting to be a lot of non-creature spells in Ben's deck. So maybe we want the discard spells and not that much removal, and it's a weird dance.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that I am not the one who has to figure this out. But
Yeah, it's a bit easier for Ben because he puts in the 4 flash frees, he puts in the negates and the wall of reference, and stuff goes out.
that's
Uh,
true. We heard Ben talk about how Wall of Reverence was really exciting against the other, admittedly the dragon based red black deck.
yeah, but 6 toughness is more than the 5 power from Reality Smasher, so I kind of like that.
Yeah, five was kind of one of the magic. Four and five were both magic numbers in this format, where
Yeah,
you saw cards like Incinerate look a lot worse than they normally do, just because every creature is a 4/4 at least, or a 5/5. Because Reality Smasher is such an important card, 5/5 also
yeah,
becomes really important.
yep. So I'm really excited to see how Fatal Black boarded because I cannot make that decision. Here from my comfy commentator chair. Deadmark went in. That much
That
is
makes a lot of
given.
sense. I mean, that's even if you're just trading out removal, the Incinerates, and I think
Yeah,
pretty
and
clearly you're going to have a target.
bear in mind that Ben said if people start targeting my mana dorks, I'm in trouble. My mana base is not built for that kind of stuff.
So we're missing white mana on Ben's side of the board right now, but Oath of Nissa, does find that treetop village that we see come into play right away.
Yeah,
Treetop Village, one of my favorite cards that ends up being a set roulette staple in a lot of these events. Wherever it's legal, you usually see it,
yeah.
and
It's
certainly shining today because of Sylvan Advocate.
certainly. But Treasure of Village is one of those. It's one of those beautifully balanced cards. It's always good, but it's never like like it's a creature land. It's limited how good it can be, but it's just always a good, reasonable card to play without being format defining.
You want some kind of utility lands, and a lot of the times in set roulette, you're digging deep to find those. But when you have Treetop Village, you don't have to dig quite as hard.
Yeah, and we see this death mark has just truly taken Ben for a spin because
Yeah,
he's missing those lands.
and
Uh,
Kalitas hitting the board already. So hey, we've seen Ben come back from a tough situation. Um,
Also, Fatal Black is deceptively at 2 cards in hand, but he has these 3 Mind Stones laying around. He can kind of just refill once he feels like it.
yeah,
Yeah,
when there are no good plays left, we crack a Mind Stone. Meanwhile, can still remain at six mana for as long as I want to.
Yeah. Oh, Ben having to go to the discard here. Not what the doctor ordered. Oh, sorry, it's the second time he goes to discard. Jesus.
Rough way to hit a game 2 in the finals, but Ben does have a game to give, so you'd rather it happen now.
Yep.
Thought-Knot Seer going to take out whatever Ben's most efficient play would be, and
yeah, and
Ben's not going to bother.
No. Ben takes the decision that even if he hits his third land drop, he's too far behind, and he might have some sideboard spice, or at least he doesn't want to reveal how he sideboarded, what kind of hand he kept, what the idea was of it all.
Sure, even if you're not leaking much information in this situation where you're so far behind, you might as well just save any edge you can there. So we didn't learn a whole lot out of that game, other than Ben was correct that without Nissa, Oath of Nissa, his mana, or without Mana Dorks, his mana is not extremely good. Just stumbling on lands there. We did see Fade to Black bring in these death marks, so we know at the very least those are in. But we don't know that much else.
Nope. That one was, one to forget for Ben. And Fade to Black also had kind of weird hand where it was just one death mark and then it was just Mindstone, Kalitas. So, okay. Whatever floats your boat. We got there.
Yeah. But in these decks, you're never too sad to see Mindstone because it's usually pretty easy to deploy alongside your other threats. You know, not too much of a mana bump because it comes into play untapped. You know, and it's not really setting you back the same way that a Signet is in terms of like cards in hand either. So,
yeah, that's the thing. That it's always so awkward when games go long and you have all these mana rocks lying around, and then Mindstone just perfect fix that. Just also one of these really, it's always a good card, never oppressive, even with Eldrazi's in the format. It's just doing its thing.
Players gearing up. Hopefully we'll see good hands from both of our players, and they do keep on 7, so that's a good starting place.
Yeah, and we see a turn 1 bird. Let's see what Fate to Black has to say about that. Tap land, so no turn 1 death mark for the bird.
So Ben will get at least one turn with this extra mana.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful follow-up. You know, we heard him talk about not wanting the Nissas when on the draw, but now game 3 on the play against an ostensibly controlling deck. Nissa presenting quite a powerful threat here.
Yeah, there's several parts to it because putting counters on the team is powerful, but also just steadily building to this ultimate. That's a lot of cards. We see
and, you know, the other thing that it does is insulates Ben against a potential damnation out of Fade to Black, right? Because those are in the sideboard. We don't know if they came in yet. But against a deck that's relying on mana creatures as much as Ben is, it's nice to have this kind of persistent threat that forces action out of your opponent, but doesn't force you to commit too much to the board.
Yeah. I imagine Ben has Nissa both on the play and draw in this matchup, because Fate to Black is that his deck is that much slower than a potential mana dork mirror. Let's see what this is. Tormenting Voice came in. That is interesting to me. Okay.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I wonder what that means. That Fade to Black thinks about this matchup, that he wants to dig for something specific here, or that there
Yeah,
are cards that are not worth playing.
or maybe it's because his cards are so situational, depending on what kind of matchup Ben presents. Sometimes it's this very grindy one with Oyota, and sometimes it's something like this where he just have one threat that he just, you need to answer this, you need to answer this, you need to answer this. Or maybe it's just the acknowledgement that there's 3 dominations in my deck and I just need to find them.
That very well could be. Um, so Death Mist Raptor coming down here, a nice protection spell for Nissa here.
Yeah. Uh,
So now Reality Smasher doesn't get to just run the show if it comes down.
no. And Nissa deciding to put counters on here. Just quietly attacking, quietly attacking. And imagine if Ben did not have, imagine if Fate to Black had that death mark for the bird on turn 1.
Yeah, because we're
Then,
seeing stuck on two lands once again here. And there's the damnation that we were talking about. Ben happy to still have this Nissa in play. But that is a blow, especially losing the Noble Hierarch and the Birds of Paradise.
yeah, the worst part of this is losing the mana dorks. Okay, a new bird. We'll get there.
We thought it through.
Out.
We have a backup plan. It was the same as the alpha plan.
Yes.
Just a nice, slow, steady game 3 here in our finals.
Yeah. Is this a reality smasher? Because then, yeah, I think Fate Black can be really happy with the turn of these events. Because what's Ben going to do? He can't.
You can't double block here. I mean, that's
how in this one he just have to accept that Denissa's not long for this word. All right. So what can Ben do from here? There's
a path to exiles. There's
Reflector Mages.
Reflector Mages.
As if on cue.
And we can start to try and build up towards like a Wall of Reverence, or
Ben really want to draw some lands here. Whoop, more Mind Stone.
You're not too upset to see that if you're Ben.
Not really. That one's
a little worse.
Yeah.
But, again, it's not the end of the world out of all the creatures that he could play here.
And here's another land.
So do we see the Wall of Reverence come down? Do we answer this Kalitas?
Death Mist Raptor.
So that will at least keep the Kalitas back. And Death Mist Raptor, pretty good against Kalitas. One of the reasons to play Death Mist Raptor, in fact, is that these Kalitases can get so large that it's really nice to have a way to deal with them no matter what happens. So Dramoka's command plus Death Mist Raptor is an answer to pretty much anything that can happen in the format. Here comes our Reality Smasher again.
Yeah. What Ben really wants to do here is have Path to Exile for the Kalitas, and then Death Mist Raptor, the Reality Smasher.
He has been choked on white mana up until this point, so it's possible. But it looks like we're going to see the Reality Smasher become a zombie and the Raptor go away forever.
Yeah.
We do still have another Raptor on layaway in the graveyard here, waiting to come back as soon as a morph can flip.
Yeah, but I think that we'll have to wait until Ben finds another mana source, because he is not interested in taking one turn off to play a morph and then another turn off to flip a morph.
No, it's not exciting at all to play a morph on 4. But this Death Mist Raptor is, it's a stabilizing influence on the board. It helps you feel a little bit better. I mean, ideally you want your Death Mist Raptors to go to the graveyard and not to exile, but you you would also rather not just take infinite damage from a Kalitas.
Yeah. Dang, that
That's
is
rough.
bad.
That's a rough turn of events for Ben.
Yeah.
Although not bringing back the Reality Smasher in this situation, instead opting for the discard mode.
Yeah, that tells me that there might just be another one ready.
Can you have too many Reality Smashers?
Um, Not when you have this much mana.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's free to double block. Because yeah, no, maybe not. Ben has some things to consider here, apparently. I mean, if he is blocking, then he might as well block with both. Um, but he might be considering not blocking. Yeah, no blocks. Go to 6. Ben really has to find some of the good stuff here. That is not quite it. Here's the
so
morph.
there's that morph on 4 we were talking about. Not what you're hoping for, but we're holding on for dear life is how I would describe it.
Yeah, really no other way to describe it.
Mindstone's job as a mono producer is done, and its job as a cycler has begun.
Yeah.
And
Ouch.
that's a brutal turn of events for Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. Killing these mana dogs has been the way to go for Fate to Black. Did Ben give too much away in the interview?
Well, they're taking out a Stratus Dancer. But yeah, I mean, we've seen Ben's Monavase become an issue.
Yeah.
And sure, this takes care of the Reality Smasher, but it's sort of a
It's not a great solution.
yeah. I mean, these zombies are just gonna get out of control, and Ben is not the sweeper deck. Ben is not the control deck here. So
Yeah. The yeah, it must be yeah. Yeah, GG's from Ben White's only dropping one match the entire evening.
but it was
Unfortunately,
the
that
one
match
match.
lost to the finals.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, well played from all of our competitors today. Congratulations to Fade to Black, who does take down our summer event here. Um, very exciting day of competition. Really nice to see what everybody came up with. And we got to watch these red black decks kind of run roughshod over the tournament. And yeah, I had a great time building this one. It was so wide open, and I can't wait to see kind of what the next format presents.
yeah, this has been super exciting. The deck we thought was like building itself, the band strategy, some paths, some noble hierarchy. It's just like, yeah, good creatures. We'll figure this out. Turned out to not be the end all be all because it wasn't. It was a good deck. It was Ben built a beautiful deck, played it really well, but it was not like this level 0 tier 0 deck that you couldn't battle with.
Yeah, every deck had to play a fair game of Magic.
Yeah,
And we saw Ben struggle a little bit on mana, but I think that is kind of the price of these 3-color decks that are very dependent on mana dorks. And in any case, it was a well played match, well navigated by everyone. And congratulations again to Fade to Black